The time being 6:32, I have a quorum. I declare the meeting open, councillors. Our persons in the gallery are advised that under the Local Government Act 1993, a person may not take part in the proceeding of a meeting of council without the authority of the council to take recordings with the video camera and electronic device capable of recording speech. Mobile phones must be turned off, so as not to disrupt the meeting. Anyone, including councillors, found using a mobile phone will be told to leave the meeting immediately and for the duration of the said meeting. An audio recording of this meeting will be taken for minute-taking purposes as authorised by the Local Government Act. This meeting is live streamed on Council's website to allow the community to follow council debates and decisions without the need to attend meetings in person. Members of the public attending or speaking at a meeting agree to have their image, voice, and personal information, including name and address, recorded and publicly broadcast. Strathfield Council does not accept liability for any defamatory remarks or inappropriate comments that are made during the course of the meeting. Any part of the meeting that is held in closed session will not be streamed. Upstanding for the press. We pray that our deliberations today will be objective and decisions are impartial, made for the benefit of the whole community. And recognition of the traditional custodians. Let us begin by acknowledging the Wongal people, the traditional custodians of the land on which this meeting is being held. We pay respect to elders, past and present. Apologies, I have nil. Declarations of pecuniary interest. Conflict of interest, Council. Confirmation of the Council minutes, order Council meeting 3rd of May 2022. Moved by Councillor Pennsylvania, seconded by Councillor Garner. All those in favour?
There are minutes that come last minutes.
Yes, as you know, Councillor. Just a minute, Councillor. Oh, yes. Okay, unanimous. We'll move on to acknowledgements. Yes, Councillor Pennsylvania.
I have 3 acknowledgements, Mr. Mayor. The first acknowledgement that I have is that June.
Sorry, 1 second, Councillor.
Sorry, I'll sit down.
Have a seat. We've got a member of the public, sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Forward. Yeah, you just approach the and just state your name and address.
My name is Jacob Gosbar, 22 Manning Avenue, Strathfield South. I've been a resident of Strathfield for about 21 years or so. Mostly, I am concerned about the Cooks River and the natural environment of the river. Very brief. A few months ago, the council announced on its website, under the banner of enjoy walking, but underneath it said that the council is installing 350 if you roughly 20 meters each, that's 7 kilometers of lights. The lights are independent, they're not controlled, they are solar lights, and underneath them there's the LEDs. So they basically come on when it's dark, and they go off either when it's light or when the battery runs out. Quite a few of them are covered by trees. There's 2 issues. The first issue, what is it all about? I invite each and every one of you. I'm happy to meet you at Dean's Reserve. So what happened was 2 weeks ago, they started installing lights. They started at Dean's Reserve, going south, to Fort Park, towards South End tennis courts, finishing at the intersection, at the underpass. So about 300 meters. Obviously, there's another 300 to go. I invite each and every one of you to come to meet me at the river. We'll go for a walk. No one in his right mind will walk down the river in the dark. It is just a fact. A camper, and the place is frightening. I live in Manning Avenue or any other street in Strathfield. Most people have got cameras in the front of the houses, alarm, sliding gates, automatic lights. You don't see people going to walk along the river. The women here wouldn't get out of the car, and I'm not being funny. It is the most intimidating, unpleasant place. Walk there, imagine two silhouettes coming towards you. You don't know who they are, you can't see their faces. Imagine extremely unpleasant experience. Nobody in his right mind is going to walk through that aspect. Why are we doing it? Pollution policy, which residents had said, please turn the lights off. There's an interested in astronomy, the light pollution issues. There's other effects. Light disturbs wildlife. There's two types of wildlife. There's wildlife which is awake during the day, generally non-Australian wildlife. There's wildlife which feeds and hunts at night. Doing is the same if I came to you and say, sorry, this is going to be 24 hours a day with lights on. But the effect on wildlife will be absolutely devastating. You will create an ecological desert. The lights cannot be, of my knowledge, this is lights, they are like 30, 40 meters. Where the path is. There's no light at all, which is fantastic as far as I'm concerned. And the Cooks River Valley Association, I'm a member of, but I'm not speaking of their behalf. They're going to write to you. So you've got two effects. You're going to install 350 lights. I'm an electrician by trade, I'm retired now, about $1 million. 2,000 for the light, $1,000 for installation. What for? Nothing. On the nature side of it, you've got literally, you're going to damage the ecology of the river. So I'm proposing, first and foremost, let's suspend this project. Have a think about it, see if it's useful, and then think further. We'll get more advice from the Cook River Valley Association, from ecologists, and just a good thing, because this is to be a river of light for kilometers. Running out of time.
Like we need extension with the
Speakers?
if you need time, we can tell.
Yeah. I've written a summary of this to all the councillors.
Yeah.
They all responded to me. Mr. Data responded to me, just acknowledgement. More say thank you very much. I leave this to that. I can talk about it a lot. Really concerns me is River Alliance and all the councils the meter of land is what can you do for people? So everything is becoming play fields, night, barbecue, etc. But you're not asking the basic questions. What are we going to do to preserve nature? 2019, we have had the worst fires in Australian history. The East Coast. 3 months ago, we had Lismore disappear underwater. Chance. Lismore's corridor, Walleye Creek and the Cooks River. If you look on the map, if you look on Google Earth, it really is an amazing section. I propose to you that we sit down, and think how to rewild the river. I'd like to thank council near Strathfield tennis courts, and on the opposite side at Water Street, you planted, I tried to count them, about 400 trees. Fantastic, they're going well. When this is in a couple of years' time, they will really be 4 or 5 feet high. You're going to have a fantastic forest. And this is what we need to do all along the river. The river and the ecology of the river, and act accordingly. I'll be happy in anything like this. The Cooks River Valley Association is very concerned about rewilding. By the way, Sydney Water and the council is now talking about yeah, and I spoke to the surveyors there, and I understand that Sydney Water is prepared to spend the money to pull out the concrete sides, naturalize it. And further south, I would like to see, I mean, you know the source of what happened. In the 1930s, there was immigration. This was a way of keeping people employed. They went and concreted everything. Created is an ecological disaster because the water rushes. I've got videos of what happened when we had the rain. Say the speed of the water is probably because it's too steep. Cut it short again. What I'm proposing, let council say to the relevant department and see if we can change the attitude from, you know, and I've written everything in the letter to you, to everybody, and I appreciate your time. So let's begin.
I'll make sure our staff get a appropriate response.
And while I met it, Professor Ian Tyrrell is from Sydney University. He wrote a book called River Dreams 2 years ago. It's a history of the Cooks River. If you read, going back to obviously Aboriginal time, but not much is known. What kind of ecology, what kind of development, why it is so. Last week, and he mentioned the lights, and he said, why would they do it? They'll kill the environment. So, River Dreams by Ian Tyrrell. I wouldn't basically it's in the library. If not, I'll be happy to bring you the books. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Blackmore, much obliged. I'll just sit down and watch a meeting. I have to run and run.
It's a big one tonight, so.
Sorry?
It's a big one tonight.
I tried to run a non-as corporation one. Don't try. Yes.
We'll move back to acknowledgement, Councillor Pennsylvania.
Yes, so there are 3 acknowledgements tonight, Mr. Mayor. The first acknowledgement is that every June there is a Pride Month celebrates around the world, and we should celebrate our Pride Month in Strathfield, celebrating the diversity of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender and intersex community. It's a time to reflect on how far civil rights have progressed in half a century, and an opportunity to protest discrimination and violence. Australia is at the forefront of the push toward true equality and inclusion for the LGBTI people. So what I want to do for Strathfield Council is, if everyone is in agreement, is that we could light up our council in rainbow colours for the month of June, starting from next week, if that can be organised. We're all agreeing to that, Mr. Mayor? Check the council.
Short notice, Would be a take that on board and liaise with councillors.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Acknowledgement is on behalf of Strathfield Council. I wish to acknowledge Reconciliation Week, which was held last week. The 2022 theme, Be Brave and Make Change, is a challenge to all Australians to be brave and tackle the unfinished business of reconciliation, so we can make change to the benefit of all Australians. The Australian Reconciliation Barometer of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders experienced at least one formal racial prejudice in the last 6 months. Compared to 43 in 2018. This is only one statistic that we can reflect on, and the Reconciliation Week is a time for all of us to be brave and help make change. Third acknowledgement tonight is the acknowledgement for our new federal member, Sally C2. On behalf of Strathfield Council, I wish to congratulate Sally C2, our new member for Reid. Under the new Labor federal government, Sally will be part of the government that will support all our communities, not leave anyone behind. There were significant federal electoral promises made for local government, and they include, it's very important for the council to understand this. Labor's $750 million local roads and community infrastructure program will support average community centres, sporting facilities and playgrounds to all states and territories. 2, millions of Australians will also benefit from the new $200 fund in regard to floods and fire. 3, the Labor federal government has recognised the federal financial assistance grants to local government have slipped from 1% of Commonwealth taxation revenue in 1996 up below 0.55% today. The new federal government has committed. We all know that is much needed in our council. The government has also committed to include our local government president to sit at the National Cabinet. Local government has been excluded from the past 2 years. Now will benefit all local councils around Australia to ensure local voices are heard, considered, better outcomes for everyone. I look forward to working with our new member Sally C2 and to have Strathfield Council well represented.
That's all, Councillor Anthony. Other acknowledgements, councillors?
2. Rise to acknowledge the election of Sally Sito. Thank you. So, to add to what Karen Pennsylvania has said, that includes a $1.2 million federal commitment to urban rivers and waterways, so the rejuvenation of our urban environments. The second part that I'd like to acknowledge, both ICAC and IBISs. Both do hard work to clean up the urban environment and are often misunderstood and the target of reactionary, and they should be fully acknowledged by Strathfield Council. Thank you.
Did you see my measurement? Good.
Any other acknowledgements, councillors?
Yes.
Yes, councillor.
I also acknowledge the federal Sally C2.
Can we just put the 3 acknowledgements to Sally Citron into one acknowledgement under each of the other councillors' names? Yes, councillor.
And also draw attention to all the various provisions that just stop the council, also people across Australia. Thank you.
Okay, noted. We've got to the third outstanding matters, being nil. Item 8 is mayoral minutes. Now, I apologise to my council colleagues, all about doing presented before the meeting, but as you know, it's been a pretty busy week or so. The mayoral minute is just in relation to council property licenses and leases policy. So I move that the council develop a council property licenses and leases back to the July 2022 council meeting. The following C include, but not limited to, appropriate price and principles in relation to both commercial rates and community rates, and how any discount percentage is calculated for a community rate based on alignment with our CSP. Any lease or license agreement is subject to a report to the council. That any lease or license agreement approved by council only be executed and executed by the general manager and the mayor. That any new delegations include a requirement for the terms of any lease or license to be reported to a council meeting before execution. Just as a matter of openness and transparency, it's appropriate that these important documents are only executed after being approved by council. Basically, the idea of this obviously is that council more information about these documents, and we have these documents. We've received those details in relation to that, and after talking with some councillors, I think that it's appropriate that the council to support that councillors. Anybody?
I have a question.
Yes, councillor.
So with the Act, the Federal Act has in there the delegation of the general manager, so it might have something like that in mind, and to refer to what the limit.
Yeah, I've got advice from government about the working. I don't think it's, yeah.
Checking back later, okay.
Yeah. Anything else, councillors? In favour? Unanimous? Problem 922 is letter of support Strathfield Girls High School West Invest application. I move the Strathfield Council write to Jason Yackson, MP, State Member for Strathfield, South Wales Government Minister, acknowledging our support for the Strathfield Girls High School West Invest application for a school hall. Strathfield Girls High School does not have a hall in their land, it can hold a full school assembly. Strathfield Council obviously supports the ability for our local school students to connect with one another with the appropriate facilities. Councillor Pensabini and myself did a school visit at Strathfield Girls School, and we had a look at their facilities. I think that the community, and I believe the former state member was lobbying for quite a while, then Councillor Pensabini, I remember. They've put an application in for a West Invest grant to build a new hall, which will suit. As mayor, I've given them my support, but I would like the council to also support it, and that the state member and the New South Wales government needs to know that we're supporting it. Landcare program and National Tree Day. I move that Strathfield Council relaunch our Landcare program on National Tree Day, 31st of July 2022, and encourage residents to register for our upcoming Landcare programs. The National Tree Day be held this year at our first urban forest. The letter be sent inviting all local residents to this event. July Council meeting with a program for our Landcare event between July 2022 and June 2023, and I plan to encourage local residents and schools to get on the program. Strathfield Council, we used to have a really strong Landcare program, which as a teenager and local scout, I was reserve Landcare program back several years ago, and also the Mason Park Events program. Our programs have sort of gone to the wayside. We've done some really good things, but I think this is one of the things that connects our community and gets local people invested in our local parks, and I would like to support council. Any debate, council? I put to you.
Anything to do with trees?
Unanimous. The 2, PB Narishama Rao Celebration Bus Acceptance. I move the Strathfield Council accept the offer on behalf of PB Narishama Rao Celebration Committee for installation of a bus statue in Strathfield local government area. A report be prepared for July 2022 workshops for suitable location park to place the bus or statue. So the bus be unveiled on Indian Order 15th August 2022. Strathfield Council has one of the largest Indian migrant populations in Australia, And PB or Mr. Rao was the Prime Minister who liberalised India and made it possible for immigration of Indians to Australia. I think it is important that this is a small bust, which they're not asking for it to be in a particular location. They just would like it by that this is the the place a lot of Indian. Minutes, all in favour? That's it. Local school traffic forum. I move the forum with an invitation to all schools within our local government area. Only to help ease congestion at school pick-up and drop-off. Strathfield is home to at least 18 educational institutions. So many local residents obviously love to speak here. A lot of ad hoc things done at the traffic committee for the schools by all councillors. A forum where everyone can come and talk. Example. Councillors. Okay. Put it to you. All in favour? Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Couple of questions to the mayor, nil. Questions to notice, nil. And then reports from committees. Traffic committee, 17th of May 22. Page 28, sorry. Recommendation, moved by Councillor Bentley, seconded by Councillor Reddy. Any debate, councillors? No? The recommendation. All those in favour? Unanimous. Okay. And then there we go. Councillors, I move in accordance with section 13 of Council's Code of Meeting Practice. Council alters the order of business paper in accordance with clause 8. 2. The items listed below be dealt with by exception and that they be adopted as recommended by way of a single motion. We'll go through these, councillors. 12.2.
I have a motion that you need to notify us.
So this is my recommendation, councillor. So if you don't want to, if there's any councillors that want to speak on the matter or vote against it, this is just me giving a recommendation.
Okay.
So these are the ones that I'll do it. 12.2, page 48. 12.3, page 49. 12.4. 12.8. Paramedical verification of good. CEO 3, which is council tenders advertised water page 67. CEO 4, with the membership of SS Rock.
No.
Yeah, we discussed it. Okay.
What about, the was on pick 4 or something?
Yeah, we're not bold.
We're going to talk about that. So CEO 3 is council. Okay. So CEO 4 is out. CS1. Audit Risk Improvement Committee. The membership please. Page 326.
CS1, sorry, yes, no.
No.
I need some questions on this.
CS2 investment report, page 329. CS3, current status of council resolutions.
I do have some questions, but I can do that.
Is that okay?
CS3.
CS3, yeah. So, okay. CS4, draft capacity review, led by none. CS5,
What is that?
that's relation to declaring the driving range as a special business purpose. This is correcting a just through the chair, Mr. Acting Director.
Yes, council has the ability to declare parts of its operations as a business. Some time ago, this council chose to declare its golf driving range as a business. And once you declare it as a business, it's reported in an attachment to your financial report. So the finances of the golf driving range don't flow into the general finances of the council. The Office of Local Government and our auditors have indicated they have no idea why we did that. The councils wouldn't normally do that, would normally be part of the normal financial report. So the proposal is that the golf driving range come out of the special attachment to your financial reports and the finances be shown in your general financials.
You read that one, Councillor Dahlia? Yep, so CS6,
What is that again?
okay, Councillor Dahlia.
CS6, Mayoral and councillor annual fees.
That's just the review. The review. CS7, quarterly budget review. Page 398. Okay. CS8, the outcome of public exhibition of the draft council expenses and facilities policy, page 411. CS9, outcome of the public exhibition of the draft media policy, page 433. CS11, council workshop, 17th of May 2022. That's noting the discussions there. Okay. DEU3, page 484. That's a report on the improvements to the end of the critical time resource, which was presented in the workshop. PPC2, that's the implementation of the child protection policy, 683 page. And then PPC4. So that's just the grass living area, and it's just fixing up the small detail there. The works were already complete. We weren't aware when we took down the project.
Of revenue contracted up to around 2008, later using in-house staff. While refurbishing the facility will provide a much improved offering to the public and overcome issues with all losses, all retrieval and maintenance. Council has not reviewed the business model operation of the new facility. A report on the cost or benefit of operating the off-site renting house versus seeking expression of the interest to have it operated by external party is sought in order for council to make a considered decision on the business model it should adopt going forward.
Any debate, councillors? Yes, councillor.
Just a question for the chair. How many staff members are we looking at that run the facility at the Bolton?
Through the chair, I believe it's 5. And then there are some casuals.
Yeah. Yes, so I won't be voting for this motion, councillors. I will always support keeping our local staff members in work. This operation is running very smoothly and it's running very well, and I can't see why we would want to change it at this stage. The current climate of the cost of living and job security is very serious in our community, and I believe that we should support everyone's job and not to outsource and privatise our services in council. That is the reason why I will not be supporting this motion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, councillor. Any further debate? Councillors, yes, councillor.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would support this motion, not with what Councillor Kinsley said, but I don't think this is about, this particular motion is talking about replacement or anything. We're just seeking about some information, and we can make whatever decision we can make based on the information we get. And I think later in the report somewhere, I think there are 3 people working full time. There is some information on that. Probably that there are about 3 people working on it. And I think having information given to us, and then we make a decision that yes, we want to protect jobs, and then we make that decision consciously. But having some information cannot do any harm to me. So I will be supporting the motion.
Any further debate, councillors? No? I'll put the motion. All those in favour, 12.1. Raise your hand. Councillor Data, Councillor Reddy, Councillor Guy, Councillor Hall. Against? Councillor Mahaswaran, Councillor Pizzabini, Councillor Mayor Blackmore. I declare the motion carried. Okay. And then I'll move on to 12.5. Motion delivery program, Councillor Data, you have the floor. Page 51. Do I have a seconder for this motion? Councillor Reddy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the delivery program presented before the council in May 2022 council meeting, referred to CEO is being presented again to the council in July 2022 council meeting, including the delivery timeline and budget. This program has a standard practice in the corporate sector for delivery of programs and projects and reporting on the delivery.
Just a bit how to really do your motions. But I think we obviously we've read the recommendation. I think the recommendation is the rationale. Just the rationale. That's the motion for which we talk about the
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, there are 5 recommendations, and the reason for the recommendation is the biggest volume of work the council does is delivering programs to the community. And from the report I saw at the last month, at the last meeting, doesn't really say where the programs are. Many of them have not been started, and even if they are started, it doesn't say where they are at, whether they will be completed in time or not, and what is the relationship between the project spent and completion of the project. So what I'm saying that it is a corporate standard or it's a corporate standard for delivery of any program or project to have definite transparency and clarity on how the projects and programs are going in terms of risk management, in terms of issues management, in terms of finance management. And I'm suggesting that in accordance with the requirement of the New South Wales Office of the Local Government, Integrated Planning and Reporting Guidelines, and Section 404 of the Local Government Act 1993, a progress report should be presented to the council and on the principal activities of the delivery program starting at the next meeting and be presented showing very transparently what the programs, how the programs are going, and whether they are running under budget, over budget, under time, over time, deliverables, meeting quality standard. I think this is the minimum corporate standard for delivery of any program or project, and I would appreciate you all to support this. Thank you.
Debate, councillors. No debate? Did you need to close that so I put the motion?
No.
Yes, I put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor Data, Councillor Guy, Councillor Hall. Against? Councillor Reddy, Councillor Swan, Councillor Pizzafini, and the Mayor. I declare the motion lost. Okay, the next motion.
And it's so that of knowledge.
Councillor,
That's
Councillor, you're out of order.
no, I'm entitled to
Councillor,
opinion.
you're out of order.
May I ask why is that?
Your time to speak is finished.
Yes, but I am making comment.
Yeah, don't make a comment to our staff like that.
No, not a stop. I didn't make
It's not a skill.
I didn't make any comment.
Councillor?
No, that doesn't give you the right to say, I didn't make any comment to stop. I just made a comment on this stop. Stop didn't vote for the minutes or the motion. So it's a wrong comment.
Councillor? 4.6, under clause 10.6 of Council Code of Meeting Practice, I rule motion 4.6 out of order as the resolution has been fully acted. So we'll move on to 12.7.
Now, point of order. That down the line, there is a plan for, there is some action being taken. So the comment that you say it is action has been taken is not correct. What is asking for is to prepare a plan, prepare a definite plan that can be followed through. Even in one of those, there are actions plan taken at the down.
Councillor, just through the chair, notice the response to this.
The staff did actually investigate the and concluded that all of the actions that have been moved by council to be completed in relation to this project have been completed, and I believe in those circumstances the mayor's quite entitled to use the motion out of order. Had I realised and seen the motion before the meeting, I would.
Just a question to the mayor.
Yes.
It is just asking for a plan of action. So I'm still not sure why this is having a plan of what can be done, like what the authorities or council could apply for funding, or what actions to be taken, how that can be out of order. This is not talking about. It's talking about a plan, and in fact, down the papers, there is an action included, identified in this. All it is asking for is as a plan so that showing, yes, we can write to this government or this particular minister for funding and so on. So this is a plan. How a plan could be out of order? I just still do not understand.
Through the chair, once again, I'm just flagging the fact that this matter has been raised on quite a number of occasions. Officers have reported back to the council on quite a number of occasions, and the matter just continues to get raised. And I've said to the mayor, in view of those circumstances, I'm uncertain how to action this in a way that would meet the councillors' needs, given the amount of information we've already supplied.
Sorry, can I ask a question? What it is asking for is a plan that council could, council officers could articulate, saying that yes, it hasn't happened. I know it hasn't happened because people have moved the motion. Somebody has written a letter to somebody, and then no action has been taken. There has been no follow-up. And this is exactly what the point is, to make a plan that yes, we want to build a bridge. We do not want to shuffle the papers. To build the bridge, to write the, we have written to the minister, we may do a follow-up in a month's time, or we may ask for this particular amount of funding. And if the funding doesn't come through, then we may start lobbying. I have done that. I rebuilt the Flemington station exactly this way. So it can be done. There was a campaign. There are 10,000 signatures collected. So it's not a matter of shuffling some papers and saying it is out of order. I totally think that this motion is in order. There is room for making a plan, and making a plan cannot be considered. Preparing a plan for building something cannot be considered as out of order. I cannot see how that. And it hasn't happened. It has come before the council 10 times, and it hasn't happened 10 times. And it will not happen this time either. Because what we are doing is we are shuffling some papers, sending it to some minister's office, and that's it. We have washed our hands out of it.
Anyway, look, Councillor Catterboy, bring it up.
I have a question.
Yes, Councillor.
Have we written to the Strathfield statement and our federal reasoning on?
No.
Is there something that we should do? My question is, have we written to the Strathfield state member and the
Yes, I think that's a different. That should be.
That could be part of the plan.
Could possibly be foreshadowing the next motion. Anyway, it's out of order. So 12.7, notice of motion, Councillor votes out of order. Pedestrian crossing, Councillor Young's fault. Do I have a second for the motion? Councillor Hall seconded.
So the 12.7 you're talking about?
Yes.
This is the same thing that I'm talking about.
You've got to read the previous motion now to understand it. So, no matter what, we'll move on to this one. No. Go back to the other motion.
No, I'm saying the same thing. If the substance of both motions are the same. I'm not going to the previous motion. I'm going to this motion. Then the substance of the motion is
12.6.
12.7. 12.6. Let's get them right, Councillor. Thank you.
54, 12.7.
Yeah, secondly by Councillor Hall. Yeah, you have the floor, Councillor.
What I'm saying is the closable action plan be created, follow up on the motion passed by the council in the February 2022 council meeting to build a flyover overpass across the intersection of Arthur Street and Homewood Bay Drive. That the plan be presented before the council in the July 2022 council meeting, and progress on the plan be presented reported to the council every second month until the completion of the project. And so I request you all to support this motion, and this was the same substance of the previous motion as well. Prepare a plan so that we can.
I second it already.
Councillor, keep up, Councillor Clark. Okay. Councillors, any debate? Yes, Councillor Hall.
May I have an amendment?
Yes, sure.
And my amendment would be that council write newly elected federal Reid, remember?
Wait, so
And did your previous motion have to write to
No, it was not.
Date? And the member for okay, that amendment to put number
are
3.
you happy with that, Councillor Darby?
Council right to newly elected federal Reid member with for funding. No, after Strathfield, sorry. The council right to newly elected federal member for request funding. And any plan?
Any other state government authority? Any other?
Go back to fund.
Yeah.
And
You happy with this, Councillor Darby amendment?
Yeah.
That's it, Councillor Hall? Yes,
Right.
yes.
Through the chair, I just note, and I'm not trying to be an obstructionist, but I hope I may come across as that, given the 2 motions in a row. But I just flagged the fact that this matter has again been subject to quite a deal of agitation on the part of council, so it's obviously an important issue. I understand it is the subject of a traffic study in that area. That traffic study has not yet been completed. I'm quite happy if this motion is passed, we will come back with as plausible a report as we could give you, given that we haven't actually done the traffic study that would underpin this. So I just warn councillors that if you ask for the report in July, you'll get as good as we've got, not as good as we've got.
So what is what would be a standard time can it be? What would be?
Well, I can't give you off the top of my head the date, but if you just took the July out,
So August, September,
September.
if it's September, I think we can do that.
September.
Yeah.
Are you happy with that amendment, Councillor Hall?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Okay, any further debate, councillors? No? I'll put the motion, all those in favour? Unanimous. Move on to 4.9, Ibis birds, Councillor Karen Pennsylvania.
Very important motion. I want to start off by saying I am an animal lover.
I'll say
And I don't want any to come to the all native birds. However, recommendation is that council write to the New South Wales Planning Industry and Environment to ask for advice regarding the increased population of the ibis birds and include and ask the questions of how to control the nests. How do we advise residents on controlling the nests and numbers on their property? That should say on their property. Sorry, Mr. McQuaid. And as they are a protected species, how does council control the excrement and mess that they are causing? I just want to say these are some of the emails that I received in regard to these ibis birds. And I've got to say, I love these birds, but they do cause a lot of problems in a residential area. As we know, it was an experiment by Taronga Park Zoo to bring in 14 ibis birds to roam around the zoo as a natural inhabitant of the zoo and to make it a nicer place to be. But what's happened is that the birds have reproduced and extended over to the botanical gardens, and it's come out from the city parks to our residential areas. These birds are an ancient, gentle and kind native that have lost their habitat thanks to human development in our wetlands. But we need to know, these are 2 people that have written to me recently. The noise and mess is unbearable. I mind my little children during the day and they like to play in the yard. but the excrement of these birds is left all over my plants, footpath, and the lawn, and outside on their play equipment. It is very, very distressing. Another female, ibis have inhabited a huge tree in our backyard. They swim in our swimming pool and leave droppings everywhere. It smells like a farm, and now I have found dead birds on the grass and in the pool. I've asked the owner to submit a proposal to get the tree removed months ago. I think as a council, and I don't know through the chair, whether we get any complaints from residents about ibis birds through council in our health department.
Through the chair, I'm not aware of any, but I would certainly be surprised if we have.
Right, so I think as a council, we need to have a policy to actually help our residents with the overpopulation of these birds. And I don't know what we're going to come up with, but I think we need to do a report and write to the department to find out if they can advise us on the best way to actually control it. Thank you. And again, I love the birds.
Any further debate, councillors? Councillor will second the motion.
I'll also move
Councillor
to
amendment, yes.
in respect of the subject, to include the subject, ibis birds and pest species. So to change the subject.
Can you explain?
Sorry,
Please explain.
sorry, that's in respect to the subject itself. Then, in respect of the words after how to control nests, to strike the word control nests and replace them with how to protect and enhance the habitat for ibises by planning their numbers.
Planning the numbers.
How many family numbers?
And at the end of the dot points, to add an and, comma, the control of invasive species, including and particularly the control of cats and foxes. And the council report, a report be produced to council based on the responses received. And finally, words, industry and environment in the first sentence. Gathered and other organisations that may be of use, including the Nature Conservation Council. Speak to.
Is there a second there for the amendment?
Then I have to be more, it's part of, it's just part of the motion. Not a,
No, you second the motion.
yeah, it's not a shadow. Yeah, what are the species?
Foxes and cats.
That's it.
General cats.
So that should be the control of invasive species. It's the control of invasive species.
There's no dimension. Particularly the control of feral cats, it should be the council of Pennsylvania. You put feral cats. Cats and foxes that we are currently now seeing in South Strathfield. There is an invasion of foxes everywhere. Yes. Council Hall, yeah. I just think we need to put it all together. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Only because, so the only reason I need to work out is the only reason that the ibises are actually going into houses or backyards or front yard is because they live in a particular tree. So, and they actually live in this palm tree. So, and I had heaps of them around my house, heaps. And all the ibises were in these palm trees. So I'm just wondering whether, yes, this is what an external government agent can tell us or whatever, but we'll probably need something that we can implement, like, why don't we plant palm trees in our parks that we, you know, the new parks that we're creating. We need to put them somewhere. So if we create, the problem is that there's nowhere for them to go. Their natural habitat seems to be where there aren't people living, because we're not going to get rid of them. They're protected species. So is that something for another motion? Maybe. Well, that's if it's going to report that it needs to be added to the, needs to be added. So we should add it?
Yeah. Just through the chair. The motion as it stands is asking for professional advice for us to report back to you. I couldn't imagine that professional advice not covering alternative strategies that you might deploy in order to manage this. And if it doesn't, then clearly we could deal with that issue at that point in time if that would be accepted.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. But as long as we remember that.
We will, because that's the problem with the countries that, yeah.
As long as we remember that.
Sorry, could I just note it should be the Nature Conservation Council, not the Nature Conservation Council.
Have to speak with them.
Sorry.
The Nature Conservation Council.
Any further councillors?
Let's speak with them.
No, you're right. No, I'll put the motion, all those in favour? Unanimous?
Genocide. I think it is.
Sorry? What did you say?
Okay, CEO one, moved by the mayor, seconded by the deputy mayor. I've got an amendment to that. Recommendation. The voting delegates for the election to fill a candidate vacancy office director. Matthew Blakemore, Deputy Mayor Karen Benson, Councillor Sandy Reedy, Councillor Shirley Manaswaran.
Really?
Any debate, Councillor?
Yes.
Yes, Councillor.
Yeah, really, that's nice of you, Mr. Mayor, to name all four, but there should be an independent in there, a real
There's
independent
three
in there.
independents on there.
No, I mean, not a real independent.
Really independent.
Yes. So, yeah, it was nice of you to name all. I don't want to go over it, but I'm wondering maybe Councillor China.
Oh, no, this is the casual vacancy voting.
Yeah,
This isn't the conference.
no, I know it is. Maybe Councillor Carmichael will want to might want to vote. Right, it's up to you. Did you want to be part of the? Why not? So who's going to give up?
Yeah.
You understand what you're doing?
It's not,
Councillor John?
this is a postal vote.
That's okay. You
Yeah,
can
casual
choice.
vacancy in the office director.
Yeah, it might, and there
Yeah,
might be a
like-
candidate that you might want to vote for.
I
That's not.
Okay.
Somebody want to give up
Any
the
other
position?
concerns, councillor, or
No.
we're going to put the motion? I'll put the motion, all those in favour?
Yes.
Okay. Everyone against? Councillor Dutton?
I want to take,
We like-
Councillor Hall, as the motion carried, Councillor Dutton recorded as voting against the recommendation. CEO two, moved by
CO2. Page.
Page 65.
Yep.
Moved by the mayor.
Yep.
Seconded. Councillor Reedy. Minute for its recommendation, and councillors consider.
Yeah.
That council undertake the following action. Shall seek the seeking expression of interest, EOI. The EOI to specify, grammatically, that is used to be as a cafe. The EOI to seek an experienced cafe operator. That the community room is advertised for hire consideration for basic facilities required to do so are provided, e.g. tables and chairs. And that council does not support the licensing of any area in the Hudson Park car park for a coffee van. Any debate, councillors? Yes, councillor.
The only, I was looking at still somewhere about hiring out the part of the premises.
Yes,
Yeah.
so I've covered that in point 4. That's the community room.
Okay.
Yeah, so what I was talking about in the recommendation, I'll read out both together, but we're going to read that. We'll read out the period of birthday party celebrations and to the the cafe section.
Yeah, that's fine.
Any debate, council, any further questions? No, I'll put the recommendation. Unanimous? We're moving on to CEO 4. We have a move for the recommendation. Councillor Hall, Councillor Ross. Moved by Councillor Hall, seconded by the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Pennsylvania. Okay, moved by Councillor Pensley, do I have a seconder? Seconded Councillor Santini. Any debate, councillors?
I just have a question. No,
Yes.
go ahead. Your question is, I support that $75,000. Why is the cost so very expensive? Why is the membership so expensive? What happens with the money? Just to have an understanding.
Through the chair, I'll just pass on to the acting member.
Yes, through the chair, yes, the mayor and I met with the chair and the CEO of SS Rock.
Sorry.
So the mayor is councillor, sorry, the chair is councillor John Baker from, and the chair is Helen Sloan. The SS Rock membership, you can have, there is an alternate membership arrangement, but the SS Rock have done external studies. Every dollar that you invest in SS Rock, it returns.
20.
Yeah, 20-something dollars. The reality is that SS Rock now employs, I think, 7 staff. It is a major, I think it represents 1.2 million people in Sydney. It is a major advocacy group for member councils, both state and federal government. It runs a bulk purchasing program that member councils can subscribe to that has returned significant reductions in the cost of a range of products and services. They run major electricity and power and gas contracts as part of the arrangement. There is the added advantage that it provides the councillors who attend SS Rock meetings to understand what's happening in the region and to give voice sometimes to the business community within the SS Rock boundaries. So $75,000 just sounds like a lot of money just to join an organisation. It's not just joining an organisation and rocking up to a few meetings. There's a significant benefit that comes both at a political level, at an executive level, and then at an officer level where it's advocacy arrangements. And there's a lot of exchange of information between officers at SS Rock level as well. And obviously their purchasing arrangements are a significant benefit to all.
Councillor Hall.
We used to have a problem with joining this organisation. In my mind, it hasn't really changed that much. While the amount of registration has disappeared, and that's not an issue anymore, there are other reasons why I had objected to. One of them had to do with local businesses. So while I don't mind, for example, in the audit committee, it was my motion that we look into joining other councils in the cost benefit for the audit or auditors, so that we could share the costs for auditors within the council. And that was my motion because that local auditors, there aren't that many local volunteers that do that kind of job here locally. But unless we put in something that says that anything that we can do locally stays local, number one. Second thing I would like to see is that all the information, and I'm hoping to be a representative, an alternative representative, because I know that really well. I know some members really well as well. Any meetings that we go to, that a report comes back to councillors, so that all of the councillors know what has been discussed, what's happening, and that the information is not just privy to just the person that attends the meeting. So to me, unless those two conditions are put in there in your recommendation, I'm going to have an issue with it. And there are other things that I can talk to the deputy there and there about that.
I do have a slight amendment for the recommendation. We are heard what council almost says. Just at point 4. The Strathfield Council always has a preference those who've been out of LGA. And point 2, appoint the mayor and deputy mayor as an alternate as council representative to the representative. You happy with that amendment, Councillor? Yes. Councillor Reddy, you happy with that amendment?
Yes.
Any further debate, councillors? No, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Councillor Dada, Councillor Reddy, Councillor Maswaran, Councillor Guy, Deputy Mayor, Mayor against, Councillor Hall. Okay, I declare the motion carried. Move on to CEO 5, community strategic plan. It's page 75. Okay, so I have a moving for this councillors, moved by Councillor Savini, second by Councillor Reddy. Okay. I do have a small addition to the point 2.3.
On page 76.
Yes. Below subject to.
And 22.
Page 76. So,
No. The CSP starts on 75. The CSP starts page 75. So the CSP, just you're in the CSP.
76.
76, page 76.
Oh, that would be good.
Page 76.
Where it's point 3, councillor before. So I've just got the additional points there. So the copy of rate notice and fulfillment ownership rate fee be reduced to $20, and statement of rates account be reduced to $10. The bond be reduced to $250 for Baker Community Centre, library meeting rooms, High Street Outer Centre, and Strathfield Square. The council adopts a policy of community groups and not-for-profit groups, so they can receive a reduced or possibly free rate for store hire at events they are invited to participate. Those small changes, there's a couple of changes there which I agree with as well. The ground entry fee, the change that was recommended would actually cost council a significant amount of money, so we need to retain the same rate of $1,000 per hectare. And to put an additional fee for the regular hirers of our facilities, who, they're people that have been long-term hirers, they're people that we trust, they're people that we, the local missing group and all those sorts of things, that their holding deposit will be changed to 0. The rates notice and the statement of accounts fees, I believe the rates notice was recommended to increase to, I think it's $90 or $85, which is too much. Residents shouldn't be punished for misplaced a rates notice. And statements of rates account was also recommended to be up into about $25 or $30. So $14 for the administration fee. Yeah, Councillor Hall.
So in our workshop,
Sorry,
we talked about the foot display rates at page 31 of
the actual report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't see that, unfortunately, I can't, from page 304, I can't really see that. 304. So we discussed at a workshop and we all agreed that those charges will not be changed.
Which one? Hang on. Councillor, this is just.
It's page 31 of the fee and charges.
31 of the fees and charges.
Which is page 3, I think it's 304.
Okay, right. 304 councillors. So which one is the councillor?
So the foot pump display, street lighting. We said no changes, we said no increase. So there's no increase, I don't understand why. It was agreed.
With the chair, I believe it was 50% of what was being proposed. And that
So
was
we agreed.
$300.
We agreed to no change.
The application fee, between the application fee.
All of it with no change.
Yeah. Councillors always, I believe she wants to. So we'll put it in, so I'm going to put another thing, councillor.
Yes.
Full part display and street. Charges remain the same as 2021. Anything else, councillor?
That's 980.
Annual one. Other councillors? Everyone else? Sure.
I suppose I have a question which is, I suppose from before, but what capacity does council obviously have to amend some of these charges once they're resolved as part of the CSP?
Through a chair, we can't. If there's to be an amendment to these charges, once they're adopted, they've got to come back to council and they've got to be published.
My principal concern is that a lot of the construction related fees remain the same per linear metre, and the cost of those inputs have gone up dramatically.
Just so through the chair, those was just about the works, the curves out concreting, asphalt, projects. But the big challenge for 19, they do in the code, and they ask us to do the curve out in which stuff.
Yes, that is fine.
What we have some people on how many that is actually done by council, it's private stuff, like and how much is actually done by
But my understanding, and I'll be corrected by any officer in the region has better knowledge than I do, is that council doesn't do very much private work. Work on driveways and things like that. Most developers do that themselves.
Yeah, it's really occasional.
I'd say through the mayor, just because of the price of construction and changing prices, that might change quite rapidly, and council keeps its prices where they are, and the overall cost is double or triple.
So if we just add on the 8.4, that a report be provided to the Board of Council meeting. In relation to rapidly increasing building materials. and how this will impact on our fees and charges. Well, I think it's been like 10, organising the fit out, and basically a lot of the builders are saying these quotes are valid for 30 or 60 days maximum, and if you don't, the price will change because of the rate. Yeah, so
Just with the point of order, how can we have this report and change the fees? We can't pass this now because we have to wait for the report to come back.
Through the chair, you need a federal charge in place. I understood the intention of the council to remove this is that the council wanted more information on what risk it was running in having fixed charges.
Once the report comes back.
If there's an obvious, I would imagine if there's an obvious need to review it, then we'd have to go back and review it. That would only be in circumstances where this is clear and we becomes a massive issue.
Well, yeah.
And through the chair, bear in mind, while there is a federal charge, the federal charge only takes place when council agrees to do so. If the council chooses, if costs get out of hand and council is losing money on those kinds of activities, it can simply choose not to provide that service.
Councillor.
Sorry, I have another amendment. Sorry, something I didn't hear. I missed. No need. That the full price display street charge remain the same as 2021 and 2022, except for the bond. Bring the bond. Oh, it'll be hard.
Any further debate, councillors?
Just a question.
Yes, councillor.
For the second, make the rates and changes as follow from 2012 into 2023.
Are we on page 75, councillor? Or?
Yeah, it's 75.
Yeah.
I just see there's a making ordinary rate 0.64 212 cents. I don't know this one is increased or lower or something like that. Let's see here.
Yeah, that's with the previous report. I think we had where there was a 1% increase as set out by IPAD, or there was 1.1, sorry. Yeah. So that this is what we're passing council high, is that is the rate. And as we can see, the residential rate is significantly lower. We don't want to impact our residents, and the businesses is significantly higher. Any further debate, councillors? No. I'll put the CEO 5 with the amendments. All those in favour? Unanimous. Yes, thank you to Kathy Jones, who does an outstanding job, but in particular, this is probably the best CSP that I've seen in this in my time on council, and I really appreciate that, Kathy.
Oh, thanks. Miss Jones. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to our CS1, page 326, councillors. CS1 is Audit and Risk Improvement Committee.
Oh, yes. I was there.
So do I have moved for this recommendation? Councillor Data. Seconded. Councillor Hall.
So where do these rates come from? Where have these rates come from? Recommended from whom?
Through the chair.
Under the draft
Yes,
I'll let the director.
Mr. Chair, these amounts that are quoted in the draft guidelines which the RLG have released. They're looking at doing a proper membership arrangement where they've got to be pre-qualified, and these are the limits that are in there. It's also in alignment with other councils in New South Wales, and generally what they are paying. We have looked through SEEK for the last 6 months and been collecting that data to have a look at those fees. So, through you, Mr. Chair, moving forward, it is proposed that the chairperson fee will be $12,000. So $12,000 per annum.
Okay, we need to.
So I think look for us to do we'll have to do a per meeting fee and have, just for myself, how
We can
many,
change this, we can put this wherever we want. We can just form.
how many?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there's a minimum of 4 per year. Depends on how the calendar is constructed. It could be 5 if the committee and council decide to layer on an extra meeting for the financial statements. Also, in relation to the chair, he does provide other assistance throughout the time and advice to the auditors as well as council management on issues that he is concerned with.
Just one more question through myself. So these are a guideline. So is there any implications to council if I make an amendment now to change those figures?
At this stage, Mr. Mayor, no, there is not. However, it could affect our ability to retain and obtain suitably qualified and professional members to this committee if we are out of alignment with others in the area. The current fee is $495, so it is,
450 and 495, that's the.
that is
362% increase. 362% increase.
So through you, Mr. Chair, that fee has not increased since 2018.
I reckon
This is like that increase in teachers. Yes, councillor Data. You have an amendment?
No, I am just proposing something. I can see that the current rate is $400 and we are going there to 455. That is 278% increase. And the 495 moving to 1793, that's 362%.
Yeah, thank you.
So I think that's unless there is a reason why we must increase it to the extent, I would say I think we may consider increasing to some extent, but this seems to be very, very significant. Everything.
So what,
Any
are
other
you
jobs?
recommending another fee, councillor Data? Do you want to change the recommendation?
I would say I'm recommending about say 20% on this, whatever that is. Or
So you're comparing.
Remember that a dollar amount, councillor, just.
over 20%, 40 would be $90, so, and that would be $100. That's significant.
Yes, well, no, to them, it would be.
No, is that chassis?
Yeah.
Yes, it's, sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, it is put through the companies of each individual, so
So we have to pay them, we have to pay it.
we pay them that flat rate and that
They
includes
have to
them
pay
having to pay tax on that.
One of the volunteers.
We don't want to.
One of the members of the volunteer.
A resident. Yeah. The fee.
Yeah, they do.
Yes.
Yes, they do.
I wasn't on that.
Because I wasn't on the council.
You did not on it.
No, not that. At the council. I think if you're going to look at those numbers that are full amounts,
I think it's
reasonable amounts,
councillor Data,
I'm suggesting 800, 1200 at the most, but I'm open to other suggestions if somebody wants to say.
That's 2 months.
Really,
Yeah.
800?
councillor, or you're seconding on the motion, councillor Data.
Yeah, 600 and 800, okay, honestly,
What for the member? Or the chair?
600 for the member and 800 for the chair. Per meeting we're talking here. Per meeting.
That's right.
Councillor Data,
Yes, 8 4
so you have to say negative, Councillor Hall.
No, I said 50% increase maximum. It's
Sorry, I'm assuming the item.
Through you, Mr Chair, it may be relevant to consider that both of the members who are on this committee are professionals. They do both run accountancy firms, so they are qualified, and to be on this committee, you do have to have some professional qualifications / background in governance or risk or accounting. So I'm not sure if that affects the committee at all, but that is generally the requirements for the committee.
Which is why I'm recommending 800, if that is that so far, because that's 800, that's 400 an hour. I mean, most accountants.
How long does a meeting normally take?
2 hours.
Through the chair, let's be abundantly clear when we start talking about fees. In the same way that councillors are required to read mountainous documents like these, the audit committee members are required to read, agenda papers that sometimes can be as large as this. They're required to exercise professional judgment and provide advice in relation to risk and audit matters. They're required to deal with our external auditors and our internal auditors in a professional way, and they're here to advise council in relation to its annual financial reports. It's not limited to the hour or two they spend in the meeting. There's a significant amount of time spent outside the meeting, and that's why the advice has been given that you ought to be spending a little bit more money on those.
And
That's the 50%.
sorry, through you, Mr Chair, as well, that those fees are in line with other professional groups that we have here at council, such as our SLPP members,
And then
etc.
something comes up.
Okay, Councillor, let's get that down. The director was speaking. Councillor Reid, please. Do you accept that change, Councillor Darker? You are the mover of the recommendation. So Councillor Hall's proposed $600 per meeting for the member fee, 800.
Okay, accept. Yes.
Yes.
600 each. When it comes in, it's in the
Sorry,
Question.
Well, I might not know the exact procedure, but I would like to move the motion as it's drafted. Without amendment. We have an opportunity to vote on that if this is resolved.
So,
Yeah, through the chair, there's essentially a motion on the table, and the motion is to move fees to 600 and 800. You are proposing an alternate motion on an amendment to the existing motion because fundamentally it's completely the opposite. So the appropriate process would be have two motions on the table at the same time. If this motion is fails, then you should bring your alternate motion forward.
Any further? I'll put the recommendation as it reads. That's member fee 600 excluding GST, chairperson fee 800 per meeting excluding GST, and the vote, sorry, motion. All those in favour of that recommendation, raise your hands. Councillor Data, Councillor Shine, Councillor Hall, Councillor Blackmore. Against. Councillor Pensavini, Councillor Reddy, Councillor Warren. I declare the recommendation carried.
Actually,
Councillors, please.
I think it's incredible that you unanimously passed an increase in council expenses by $1,500 a pop. But in voting on your oversight,
Yeah.
you're going to start saving dimes and dollars or people that charge hundreds of dollars an hour. I think that's incredible.
Totally different to the $1,500 every year. Sorry,
That's it. That's
I think you need to get that right.
Councillors,
Yeah,
councillors,
over a year, not per meeting. Not 50% per meeting. Good for going in. Alternate county.
yeah, I think it's good. Yeah, sorry, CST, so it's one that I've been. Oh, it's not. CST councillors, page 440,
172.
440 CS10. Local government enterprise annual conference. Moved by the mayor, seconded by councillor Petrovic, deputy mayor. So, talking about council voting, nominating 4 delegates. And obviously there's observers as well. I think just council meeting involved. Page 440, councillor Reid. This is for the local government annual conference in October 23rd to 25th this year. So I can say that I would like to be a voting delegate. Councillor Petrovic. Any other councillors would like to be voting delegate? Conference, Councillor Haswaran. Councillor Chai. So we'll put there that the mayor, deputy, councillor, Chai, the voting delegates will then be voted at the government conference. Now, I think point 2 we can change to just say that the councillor introduced to attend the government conference as an observer. Let's ask what it is.
Through you, Mr Chair, as soon as possible, because accommodation at the Hunter Valley during that time is extremely limited. We have held some rooms, but if we have not held enough, it could be problematic if we leave it longer. So by the end of June would be appreciated.
Any councillor wishes to attend as an observer. Is there anything? Oh, sorry, councillor Dale, no room. I think if you want to make a recommendation, who's going? Any councillor wishes to attend as an observer to inform the mayor by the end of the week. Inform the mayor by the end of the week. Yes. Is everyone happy with the councillors? So I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Unanimous? Page 475 DE review 1. Private certifiers. Page 475 councillors. I have removed the recommendation. Ready? Hall. Any debate on this, councillors? I probably have just one note to write, just underneath. That Strathfield Council and informing him, Strathfield Council, the principal certifier of all building works within Strathfield or GA. Well, I know, look, this is probably
What's that gonna do?
a bit of a long shot of both political parties, the Labor and Liberal, both in favour of private certification. Look, this is what these private certifiers and these citizen developments cause a lot of issues with our residents. I'm sure all the councillors get complaints about this, and I just think that we should like to let you know that we prefer to be the certifying body. Councillor, are you happy with that?
Yeah, don't need to. So I've actually had to have discussions to need to claimant about certified. Council can have their own certifiers. It's up to council. You don't have to ask the state government. It's up to council. It's just
Through the chair, my understanding is that the developer chooses
yes,
whether
but
they have a private certifier.
they do. But I've had a lot of questions. If council will do the certifying, and we don't provide the service.
Sorry, councillor, just
Well, my understanding was that you do, but
No, we don't.
well, I'll stand corrected on that. And in the absence of the director, I'll
I've
stand
had many people ask me to,
we
I've had people,
councillor,
so has any,
through the chair.
what certifying do you go
I agree. I have asked the same question.
I can tell you, we haven't done any because we don't have a facility. The only certifier we had in council was Mr. Clements. He was the only certifier and he obviously couldn't do it for obvious reasons. So we do not have anybody that's certified here. We do not provide the service. So somehow we need to get the service. So maybe that's a recommendation that we get the service back in. So,
That's what intent of the motion.
so we can scrap your writing.
We do have a fees and charges in there.
No, we don't provide the service.
Council with certification. I would like to get a workshop, attractive measure. My understanding is that we can provide that service.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can, but we don't have that. We don't have the.
We stopped it. We had it. We stopped it.
We have fees and charges. Yes.
We had it and stopped it.
Look, if there is a way that Strathfield Council can certify every single building project in our LGA, that would be my preference.
Okay, so
We need to do things to.
to the chair. So, Mr. Mayor, there are two things there. One, you want to have every single building certified by council. That's a completely different issue. That is a state government issue, and that is something that you have to write to the state government for. The other issue is that I know for a fact that there are people that want to have council certified, but we don't provide the service, and that's a different issue. So if we can address those two issues, then we'll probably be on the right track.
Yeah. So I know we do have the fees and charges. My understanding was that we are. I think I stand corrected. Yeah.
So,
You're happy?
do we have council, so we can we put that in there that we have to work to the,
Yeah, let's put that in there.
yeah.
If the council presented to a workshop.
To present to a workshop.
The practice of
in-house.
on certification.
Oh, in-house.
That's
That's
in-house certification.
Maybe we've got some private utility councillor, but I thought we were offering service.
Let's take one.
Yeah, no, I said.
Okay, you're happy with that, councillor Regan, for the change? We've moved it, councillor Hall. As it is, any further debate, councillors? No, I think a recommendation. Those in favour? Councillor Dartford? Against?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, and against? Councillor Charles. There's motion carried. Yes, Benjamin, Councillor Benjamin Kai, I guess, Councillor Supervisor. All the building units.
As the new living
I'll be taking one of that. DEU2, garbage collection lead time and legal dumping. I will move that. Any first seconded by Councillor Hall? We have a, if you would, take my amendment there. The council continue to provide 3,000 square metre or 2 cubic metres. And that council replace the current booking system based on the calendar year with a booking system based on a financial year. Which is keep challenge 3, which is the outcome of the source of notice connection to the fundamentally the next on providing service environment benefits to report to council on completion of the 6-month trial. The recommendation in the report says to actually cut down residents' clean-up services to 2. I cannot support that. They need to remain as it is. Yeah. Okay. The reason I said to change it to financial year because the discussion was about towards the end of the year when the busy time in the summer as well, when the people's bookings are running out, they will try and book it at the same time. That's where we get a bit of a backlog. The waste charge is also based, our waste charge, which is one of the highest in Sydney probably, or New South Wales, is based on a financial year. So to me, it makes sense that clean-up service, which is part of our waste charge, is over a financial year because the waste charge is charged in the financial year. And then what I really back call out for, there are people who want to do like waste, the pickup when it's running out, that they'll do it in winter when the currently on legal works. The director had informed me that that winter was actually a lot quieter for these bookings. Very much so. Yeah, that's good back, Councillor Hall.
I am really happy with those changes, but we do have those that we do have the one of the lowest rates in New South Wales.
Good to yeah.
Highest rate.
Any further debate, councillors? No? Put the recommendation. Favour? Unanimous?
So you get that part there that it goes from financial year?
Yeah, yes.
We're going to next.
DEU 4, 490. Without,
We're going to just say what a wonderful resident we have here that's sticking out this. Oh, sorry, you're just amazing that you're still here.
I find it very interesting.
Oh, thank you.
I'm one of these people who write submissions to government. I believe in the theory that the more you pull in one direction, it helps move it a bit.
Thank you.
Especially on environmental issues.
Absolutely.
John, we move to DEU 4, page 490. Councillor Reddy, seconded. Councillor McFarlane. I have a small amendment if you would like. So point 1, the council fund replacement of redundant driveways only in residential areas, and that the funds be allocated in the 2022-23 budget. Part of this recommendation was obviously it's areas where people can walk and there's foot hazards for these driveways and things like that. I think they are predominantly in the residential area, and we are going to fund it. That I don't want to fund it in the industrial areas.
Sorry, point of order.
Yeah.
I'm just going to ask. Wait, the recommendation states you don't want the recommendation because you put a motion.
Yeah, I don't want that recommendation.
Well, you have to. Okay, so speak to it because we need to be able to. We need feedback from the property. You can't just go and dig up driveways for people that just because you think that it's an unused driveway. Because I know for a fact that there's one unused driveway, and the reason that it remains that way is because there's a lady on a motor scooter because she can't walk. And so she uses that driveway, which is not a used driveway. She doesn't have a a garage door. She lives alone and she's got a motor, a scooter.
It is one of these ones, councillor.
So I'm not going to identify it. But yeah, so you can't just assume that they're not being used. So you have to ask. So you have to,
So we can have a point on point one, so
Yeah.
in consultation.
In consultation with the residents.
yes, please.
But it's not their right.
Yeah,
It's our registry.
Well,
hopefully
they're the ones
make
that
it
mow
easy.
the lawns and they're the ones that have to pay if they want the driveway replaced. So I don't think we can just go ripping up driveways.
Some of them is just curb and gutter, there's no, it's just good pattern.
Well, again, let's ask them. I mean, there'll be, and if there'll be some residents who go, oh, yes, wonderful, thank you, yes, we'd love that done. But there are other residents who go, no, I use it. So we just have to be really careful that we.
Whether they're actually using it as a driveway or something.
Highly an increased parking.
It doesn't, like, to me, we need to ask them, sorry, consultation.
So in consultation.
Consultation with residents.
Any further debate, councillors?
Excellent.
Good recommendation. Unanimous. DEU 20 Lock Street, postage planning proposal report, page 501. So move to recommendation. Councillor Data. Seconded, Councillor Reddy. And councillors.
Mr Mayor, would be able to move to defer this item, considering that neither Mr. Kuzanis nor anyone from our planning team is here to answer questions.
I know some information.
So, yeah, so you're going to put an amendment there, so to leave the recommendation, that put the disclaimer.
Okay, so. Good to it. So I have had discussions with Mr. Clement about this one. And what we need to be very careful of, what you used to always tell us, is that this proposal, it has quite substantial, and maybe it needs to go to a workshop so we know all the detail, that might be my idea. Substantial amount of VPA and benefits for council with a relatively small amount of upside. Yeah, so we need to be very careful with this, because if it goes directly to Gateway without us having this kind of input, then we lose the VPA and any other benefits. Okay, so we just need to, so I think probably if we want to defer it, obviously I don't have the numbers, but if I would defer it, I'd let it go, but if you
You
want
can't
to
make
defer it.
you can't make an assumption, councillor. I'm sure other councillors have questions about this
Well,
significant.
my recommendation is that, one, if you want to defer it, then it's by going to workshop, because there are substantial benefits for council in this. And if we lose those benefits, and they're going to get what they want anyway, then I think that's going to be a real shame. My other preference is that we just pass it because there are substantial benefits. And I don't know whether it's something that is private, or whether it's confidential, which is why it's not in the report. It could be something, EPA is private, but confidential.
No, it's in there, listed there. There's I don't think it's a significant amount to the main councillor, but only for a development, it's only $1 million for development. It's about $455 per extra square. It's 1,048,000. It's an extra it's only $455 per square metre the council's getting out of the development. Neighbouring councils have BPA policies which attract in the vicinity of $1,700 per square metre.
Which ones?
There's several. So, and I think that, but I do think it needs to go to, it probably does need to go to a workshop. We do need more information on it and defer it, that it should be deferred further workshop and defer to possibly to the next council meeting.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's a motion on the day.
Yeah.
That's it.
Just to put it out there with the proposal, councillors, I have had a good look at it. It's on the, there's no basically no setback. It's actually built on the boundary of subway lane. There's no dedicated footpath, it's part of the property. The small setback that's out there will still be owned by that property in Strata or whatever it is.
But there is green space right there, we could provide parks and, anyway, we're talking
Yeah,
about
no, and you know,
differing,
yeah, this area, obviously, Parramatta Road area is going to have significant development there. And I think we do need to really, I understand your point about that, it shouldn't go and then end up with bad results. You should have a say in what happens there.
Sure.
And I think that is one thing is to put it out there. And also the fact that there's no option, there's only 1 and 2 bedrooms in the building, which is in the report. There's no option for 3 bedrooms, which is something that's desirable for families in the area. So have we got a yeah. So council data, council review, please to withdraw the recommendation.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Yes.
Just I have a question now. Let's say,
Yes, council.
and what it says, the current maximum permitted building height of 7.5 and the FSR 3.61. What is the current parameters? I just couldn't, I look for it. I looked for it, I couldn't find it when I was forgetting the map. I'm sure. I was looking for the current figures and we couldn't find it.
It's 34.
Remember, it's a significant increase that I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, recommendation. Yeah. Council, I'm sorry.
I'll just speak to
Yeah,
this
please.
motion. The only reason I speak to it is because there may be business people that are trying to base decisions over the long-term decisions of this council.
Yeah.
And they require certainty, and uncertainty is something that is not very pleasant, and should articulate the reasons for why we do the things we do. In effect, the recommendation from the SLPP to the council states that the planning proposal be updated prior to finalisation to address the recommendations of the completed precinct-wide traffic study. Now, the Parramatta Road Urban Transformation Strategy is a Section 117 directive by the Minister for Planning, which required implementation by councils. That was subsequently amended in June 2021 by an update on that Section 17 direction about the implementation. 2 aspects of that update was that councils or planning proposals lodged after the date of that update to the Section 17 directive were then required, council was required to conduct a precinct-wide traffic study before implementing curb cuts zoning. Now, in circumstances where the matter of planning proposals lodged before then, there are 2 specific exemptions where those where the curb cuts is not required to be complied by council. So it's not entirely clear whether any of those 2 exemptions apply in the circumstances. One of the interesting aspects of this planning proposal is that it was lodged some time ago, that is, it was lodged before the 2021 amendment to the Section 117 directive. However, it has now been considered by council as late as 5 May 2022. The original report in planners notes that this precinct-wide traffic study is to be undertaken, and there's some acknowledgement by the SLPP that this traffic study, this precinct-wide traffic study has now been completed, but that this planning proposal does not address itself to that. So there's some consistency in the way that this has been dealt with, and there's insufficient information for council today to make an informed decision, especially in circumstances where there are no planning staff in council meeting. So those are the reasons why I believe it ought to be deferred. And I'll just say by way of general comment that the per cut strategy promised some $906,000 worth of public infrastructure and improvements for the area, our area, around, especially around Homebush, quite a few of which has been delivered. The entire strategy is predicated on the delivery of the West Connects into the CBD and the delivery of the Parramatta Light Rail to Strathfield. Neither things have been completed, and one is very unlikely to ever be completed. It is a scam, it is a sham, and it ought not to be adhered to by any council in this city. It is a fraud perpetuated by a small group of people on the residents of Western. That's it.
He would go in.
Is there anything further on that? Are you happy with that motion? Is Councillor Warren as well?
Yes.
So the argument for the council motion report to the next council meeting. So I'll put the recommendation.
Yes.
I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Unanimous. DEU 6, page 641, proposed candidate's position. Do I have a motion for the recommendation? Councillor Williams. Debate on this, councillors?
Right.
Yes, councillor.
So, what I'm not clear on is exactly what this person will do when it's something that we should be doing. Oh, you agree?
You said you agree. You just said you. So
yeah, I'm just not sure whether this position. Okay, so I understand we're doing some restructuring. So should we defer until we know what the restructuring is and where this will fit in, why we need this person, what their duties are actually going to be, and $108,000 to get us following people as well, which is a heck of a lot more than I don't even get it someone else. So yeah, so I'd actually like to defer it if I have a backup until we know the structure is going to be.
do you accept that change, councillors? Any further debate, councillor?
To add, to add point 4, just to know the position this and maybe appropriate, as a permanent part-time position at the discretion of the CEO of the council.
Okay.
Through the chair, my understanding, and I am dealing in an area that I have limited knowledge. I'll make that admission to councillors. My understanding is this report was in response to a desire on the part of council to create a role that would essentially be have sufficient knowledge and experience to be able to be an advocate for people within the community in dealing with, you know, these sort of matters. So the classification, the grading of the job, then I suspect the job itself will require some sort of planning qualifications and experience in community advocacy. Yeah, so I imagine that would be the background. And I have not dealt with it in terms of the org structure review. At this stage, I'm still at the top level of the organisation. I haven't got down to this level of detail in this area.
Yeah, I just want to ask, just to Councillor Mount's because this was, I think, off the back of your original motion and a subsequent report. My understanding of this was that it was going to be, my understanding was that it was going to be someone to assist with the LEP process, and it wasn't a permanent position. But that was my understanding of it when it was first raised. And if I can just indulge and just ask Councillor Mount's the original intention.
The original intention was always to create a permanent position. Quite coincidentally, Waverley Council passed a similar sort of position in the same council meeting, unbeknownst to me. The purpose of the position is that the council planning staff have a regulatory function to exercise in dealing with residents and planning proposals, and that can't be contaminated by providing local residents with their advice on how they can use the planning system and best put forward their views in a way that's understandable within the current framework. The purpose of the community advocate is meant to be a consultation point for residents, such as one I spoke to yesterday, who was asking for informal advice about how he might challenge a DA that's been lodged, to provide more expert advice or qualified advice on how they may convert their views into something that's comprehensible within the planning framework. That's the purpose of it, and I think it goes to some of the core functions of council as a regulatory authority. But unfortunately, while we would have the knowledge within the council to provide the answers to these questions, we can't necessarily do so without contaminating our planning team and their independent considerations on each DA. So the purpose is to arm the community with that knowledge to then be able to put their best foot forward.
I've never seen it help to council and to get areas.
The motion for the meeting is the ready motion.
Look, at this stage, I can't support this position because I don't see this being there being a need in council for a permanent position in relation to this matter, and no one's been able to sell to me that it is needed. I don't think, you know, this council is the appropriate people within our organisation when they need assistance. So unless I'm missing something, actually I can't support it as it is. Any further? Yes, Councillor Data.
Yeah, from my point of view, I know a lot of residents that I've said over the last week, they all the planning, some of the officials to stick to all that, and they get fairly good advice. From my experience, I have sent a lot of people to planning department when they have query or suggestion, and they get vast good advice. So I have been thinking that how it could be any different. So I think
Yeah, just if I can take a point. Yeah, I know when I had a DA in another council, and they actually had, which I don't think we actually have, they had a certain time where a planner would actually sit there and be available where anyone can walk in the street.
Duty planners. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Good luck. Look, I started writing.
in fact, we had councillors and officers coming together, open sessions for residents to visit councillor and planners, and we have done that for years.
That's what I'm saying. I argue a lot when I wasn't safe. Thank you for that.
So anything further, councillors?
And I sort of like,
Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Mark Warren, Councillor Pennsylvania. Against? Councillor Zata, Councillor Reddy, Councillor Guy, Councillor Hall, and me. The motion was. Case of 634 TPC1 is toilet mover. Councillor Zata, seconded by Councillor Hall.
Yeah, but I just question, I'm a bit confused.
Yes.
From memory, I thought that we talked about that we are not going to do any toilets near this park, but I see. I thought that, and also the parts of the toilet facilities, the area doesn't have any toilet. I mean, someone, I went through the pictures, and it looks like someone is indicating that there might be a toilet from sunrise to sunset behind the cricket club. That's about a kilometer away. I don't think Erie Park has a toilet, and I know that the residents and kids in Erie Park, they do need a toilet. So I'm just really confused. I thought we discussed that and it was clear.
That's in the workshop. It's
Sorry? Yeah, so I think there's a bit of confusion, just clarifying that Erie Park, I think, does need a toilet because there are hundreds of kids there. There is no toilet there. And there is in the community center. If you are referring to the community center, Erie Park, it doesn't have any. It doesn't have any toilets. And Inverness Park is at the top. We thought we don't need any toilet there. This is a small park and surrounded by houses. So that's what I thought we clarified. But anyway, I'm just.
can we make a amendment?
Yeah.
yes, through the chair.
It says in the report that is before us, I haven't personally checked this, that there is a toilet in Erie Park, which is open from sunrise to sunset. It's on page 645. There's a list of all of it. I was going that out.
Which moment?
The Arctic Pavilion has public toilets, has started in Erie Park.
I have
There are
an amendment.
toilets.
Yeah, there are toilets.
Yes.
Delete
Where?
2, 3, and 4.
What some people might consider to be the cricket clubhouse is actually towards the.
Yeah, that's a
And there's
kilometer
charities.
away. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Kilometre from where?
It's that
From the
Received that before.
from the
No further action to be taken.
from the crescent, where the triple equipment.
Needs to show.
On the crescent?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's quite popular.
Yeah, because there is some
We're
good
getting
operational
the
plan.
public toilet on the crib.
Yeah, then there's one.
That's
I
one.
haven't counted 41 and 6.
Yeah, we're still waiting for it. Getting an update on that very soon.
So it's really a council will, the council team that will report about further action to be taken. Happy with that, council?
So just what is that?
Just let me know if there was. I'll do it again.
So what are you solving?
Nothing.
Are we going to deal
Yes,
with,
councillor Choi.
we're going to build a chair, toilet in the Harry Park?
At this stage, we're not doing anything meaningful. I believe if you look at the CFP, we're doing recreational planning of our parks.
I
And
think,
I think we can.
I think the operation plan does actually have an upgrade to the park toilet.
Right.
There was something in there.
It's already in there.
What's happening? What's happening with this particular?
Yeah,
It's the
I just have to look.
Because in the CNP, there's already a place for upgrading the area market.
Yeah.
No, that's not, Erica has not got any toilet, it's not upgrade.
It does.
It does.
If you
No,
look at the
I
page,
think that is what.
We're talking, if I understand correctly, the council that, Erie Park is quite a large park.
Yeah.
You're talking about, there's no toilet, I believe, the
Playground,
playground. So Erie Park does have a toilet. There is two bridges to go across the city bridge, where Australia Street's and I believe Bay Street Centre has a.
Yes, Space Street Centre has a toilet. I assume the new, Hamish West Community Centre has a toilet. There are quite a few toilets around. There's a couple of toilets in Hudson Park too, which is not that far a walk from there. And more going.
There are a list of all the toilets in the full.
Right.
we now have a list of all.
Can we get a picture?
And we have a present. And there's a proposed toilet going in the present.
Yeah.
Flemington.
That's okay.
There's a proposed toilet council, going, near Flemington Station. And probably, we're getting a final location for that. We've got to think about these things, councillor. I know Hudson Park, for example, is going to have, multiple toilets. I'm going to say this included there. But, these things cost council money to maintain. We can't just put toilets everywhere because, some toilets may go on the least for about 20 years. Which use the rest of
No. So Erie Park, I think from a distance, it looks like the toilet over, almost over. And we may theoretically call it Erie Park, that's not what people call it, it's just almost over.
Page 239 for the next operation plan just endorsed. There's amenities building Erie Park, capital works, public toilets renovation. So it's scheduled works for the next financial year, which is only a few weeks ago. But there is toilets there, believe me.
In the almost over, yes.
I know what's in there, but there are definitely toilets in there. But there are toilets that need to be upgraded. They've been there a long time. Yeah. My brother partly built that building. I do have.
Well, that's for sure, so I'm going to think, whatever.
The councillor, what's happening? Are you accepting this recommendation, councillor?
What is
The
the?
council receive a note report, the same recommendation, receive a note report and note that it's changed by elements of it.
Okay.
Okay, I put the recommendation. Councillor Sharp, that's unanimous. Okay, EPC 3, page 693. Which is kind of always. Do I have a move to the recommendation? We're going to. Moved by Sandy, seconded by Councillor Cho. I have a recommendation, a change to the recommendation. Council received a note to report and that no further action will be taken.
I agree.
Was consulted by previous council. Okay. And there's a large cost in getting electricity
Yeah, there was discussed. There was discussed.
Yeah, $4,000 to install now. Okay.
And house around the area.
Yeah, shelf, they just,
Some of them.
so, the next ceremony. So you happy with that, council Lee? Yes, council Charlie? Any debate, any further debate, councillor? No, recommendation? Also, in accordance with section 10A, 2C of Local Government Act 1983, this matter will be considered in closed session as the latest information I believe is disclosed to the commercial bank within the council today for proposed activities. So I move that we move into a closed session. Council with